Hey there, fellow historians. Today, we have a very important issue to talk about. This is a topic many historians have struggled with over the years, and to this day, no one seems to have a good answer for it. But I'm glad to tell you that after Googling it for 5 minutes, I have the answer. And the answer to what topic, you may ask? Well, I'll tell you. But first, I want to tell you about my top 5 games of 2023 list. Alright, here we go. In no particular order, this list will discuss 5 games that I've played this year. These games will either have come out this year or in previous years, and they're just games that I played this year, and they are ones that I either enjoyed playing or played to a certain point and gave up because I didn't like them. And I want to talk about what I didn't like of what I played. So if you disagree with me and think that I should have made a video exclusively on games that came out this year, or a good or bad games of the year on a list, then please detail your death threats in the comments below. I'll be sure to read and reply with even worse threats. I've been a big fan of Naughty Dog games ever since I first played The Last of Us. There's just something so simple and enjoyable about them. They make playable movies, which I find incredible. The combat is usually brutally simple. It's just centering your screen and pressing a button. But the animations, the sound design, the music, all of it combines to make gameplay scenarios that feel ripped out of action-adventure movies that basically everyone loves. However, the story is a bright shining star here. It further reinforces the action-adventure movie feel, with excellently well-acted, directed, and well-written scenes. All the characters are also insanely interesting as well. However, I do not own a PS4, and the game first came out in 2016. So how did I play it? Well, I didn't. I watched that channel, Gamer's Little Playground, and I loved the whole thing. And finally, I bought it in mid-2023 when it came onto Steam. Don't ask me to buy a PlayStation console, I don't care about it, and I never will. I was already spoiled on the entire story, yes, but I loved the whole experience. The game is beautiful, obviously. I mean, have you seen their games recently? I love the whole cinematic angle of the game. And honestly, the game is one of their better written games, in my opinion. However, it's actually a woke game. Nathan Drake gets his ass beat by a woman. That's physically impossible. I'm gonna ignore the fact that said woman had a lot of experience in military training, but there's no way that any woman can beat a man. I mean, yeah, I'm obviously joking. The fact that Nadine Ross beats up Nathan is of no concern to me during the first fight with her. But here's the thing. The fact that Nadine beats up Nathan in combat is absolutely believable. She has tons of experience in training, while Nate is a wisecracking moron that guns down swaths of people with unexplained gun training, and also no moral scruples about it. Even the second fight with her, I can believe the fact that she wins. What I can't believe is the fact that she never takes a single hit fighting against 2 people. Totally girl boss energy, but Jesus fuck, dude. Well, anywho, the game is visually stunning, the combat is light and fun, the story is great with real emotional stakes, and it's a great ending to the wisecracking treasure hunter. 1 out of 10. The strong black woman made me uncomfortable with myself. I'm a big fan of this franchise. Hell, I've already made a video specifically about the franchise and how we need more horror games in this world. I still stand by it. But now that I've played the remake, holy shit, dude. It's the same game, It's the same story, but it feels to me like a brand new game. The combat's fun, the fucking environment is amazing, the Ishimura is a semi-open world level for you to explore, and it's genuinely one of the best decisions I have ever seen. Imagine this, you need to go from the crew quarters to the hangar bay. You can go to the tram station and be in the hangar bay in just a moment, or how about you walk? You go from the beginning to the end without a loading screen or without the game even removing control from you. And that fucking director system which they have with its dynamic events for each room, it's an amazing thing to see. And that's not all. Isaac, that mute bitch, talks, and it fucking makes sense. I can't remember which reviewer said this, but it's a great line and I'm stealing it, so if you do know who said this, be sure to sexually proposition them in the comments below. Isaac speaking makes the protagonist much more active, as before they were incredibly passive as a character. That's roughly what the reviewer said. God, I can't even steal properly. The game also has a secret alternate ending with the re-recorded lines. I'm intentionally keeping this segment vague because it's a newer game and it's even better than Uncharted. There are some negatives, mainly on the necromorph behavior. They're slower in their movements. They used to do a sort of erratic sort of Zerg rush at you. They still do it, but I think in 2 playthroughs of the game, I saw that move once. Their main move now is just as scary, but really predictable. They send 2 loud guys in front of you, while one of them quietly approaches you from behind. It's still scary as hell, but after some hours, you start expecting it. And the soundtrack's also great. There's one track that I really love. It's called The Tram Station, and it only plays in the tram station. I wonder why. It's appropriately uncomfortable. It's a great way to build tension and get you thinking that I may be safe here, but the moment I step past those doors, I won't be. And yeah, that's about all that I can say about it. It's great. Buy it now. 4 out of 10 though. I screamed in rage when I found a JPEG for a gender-neutral bathroom. You know, since bathrooms are a core part of the horror experience. I've been interested in Dark Souls for a while now, but like so many people, I was put off by the difficulty. I became convinced of its quality, however, after watching DJP Cobbler's video on the game. Yes, this is the second time in a row I'm mentioning the Pie Person. He talked about the environmental storytelling in the game, and the boss fights. The giant king sitting in his throne, surrounded by his treasure and his long-dead subjects. The legion of soldiers, reduced to 3 members killing each other in an endless battle. An old wise king gone completely insane. And none of that is ever told to you directly. It's shown to you. The game's strength is its world. I've already made 2 videos on this game, so I'll summarize my thoughts on it like this. It's incredibly unique, and I don't care enough to replay it. The boss fights are incredible, but I still don't like its insane difficulty. I wanna play more games like it, but I'm completely satisfied with Dark Souls 3. I am, however, gonna try and find games that are similar to it. Games with similar environmental storytelling and dramatic ass boss fights. It's that search that led me to Lords of the Fallen. That's right, I am now discussing Lords of the Fallen. Fuck Dark Souls 3, all my homies play Lords of the Fallen. There is a lot to like about Lords of the Fallen. From its dual world perspective to yeah, okay. For me it's just a dual world perspective. As I hinted in the Dark Souls 3 segment, I'm not a fan of hard games, not even hard but fair games. But I finished Dark Souls 3 because I was drawn to it. Its story, its visual design, everything about it, except its difficulty, I liked. Lords of the Fallen is just too much for me. Bonfires or vestiges are few and far between, while seedbeds are placed in the dumbest places. You'll kill a boss and be given a seedbed, only to walk 10 feet and find the vestige. Now, Dark Souls 3 had a similar thing, but it happened once. Once you beat the suit armor and are given a bonfire, and 10 feet after, you're given another bonfire. Now, why is it fine when it happened in Dark Souls 3, but not fine in Lords of the Fallen? Because bonfires are static permanent things that cost you nothing to activate, while Lords of the Fallen has actual items for these seedbeds, which are rarely dropped and cost a little over 1,000 souls to buy. And this thing happens constantly throughout the game. Pile to that the mob enemies being placed all over the game, especially in Umbral, and bosses being reused as mob enemies. And for me, what personally killed the game for me is the bosses, they weren't interesting. Like I've said, I'm working for a game similar to Dark Souls 3 in its design, in plot. Dark Souls' world is dark fantasy, yes, but there's so much more to it in how the story is presented. The opening cutscene in Lords of the Fallen kinda unloads everything onto you. The demon god the deer ruled the lands of Mornstead, but got banished from the land. However, he has corrupted the people in charge of keeping him away, and has retaken the lands, or is about to return. I don't know, I didn't understand that part. So you, as the lamp bearer, must cleanse 3 beacons in order to kick him out. There's multiple endings, as usual, and some of them are more convoluted to get. But honestly, I didn't even finish the game. The annoying mob enemies were not worth the subpar boss fights. I'm excited to fight the next boss in Dark Souls, because each one is wholly unique from the other. Each one is dramatic, or funny, or tragic. What are the bosses in Lords of the Fallen? A face you find all over the place after. A knight with a mace, and if you have the argument that these bosses serve as tutorials for when you meet them later, then you shouldn't treat them as boss fights. Do what Dark Souls 3 and literally every other game does. Place the elite mob alone first, and then put them normally throughout the game. Don't give them a health bar or a locked off arena, because then we're gonna hold them to the same level as all the actual bosses your game has, and they will fall very short. The bosses themselves, they aren't that good. I can count on one hand how many bosses I enjoyed. In fact, there's one, and it's Pieta. I'm not saying I enjoyed her because she's easy. By the way, she isn't. I'm saying that I enjoyed her because she actively comes towards me. Her health bar isn't stupid, and she beat the holy fucking shit out of me because I messed up. I found the world and setting in the Lords of the Fallen visually striking, if uninteresting. The bosses, what I looked forward to in Dark Souls 3, are one of the worst aspects of the game here. And so much of the game seemed to be built around frustrating the player. It seemed to me that the developers looked at everything From Software games are, and all they took out of it was the endless circle jerk of fanboys screaming how the games aren't for casuals, because they're hard and quote-unquote designed to be hard. So they made a hard game without looking at everything else these games are and can be. They're funny, they're tragic, they're paced excellently. It's fine if you like this game, it's also fine if you don't. Listen, I'm already on a little secret. Souls-like games are toys. They're meant for entertainment, and that's it. If you've tried these games and didn't enjoy them for any reason whatsoever, that's fine. If you've played them and loved them, that's also fine. The good thing about this industry is that there is room for everyone, from the casuals to the smelly hardcores. From Software games are not for everyone, but they are great. Words of the Fallen is not great, it's good, and people also need to accept that. If you've enjoyed or loved the game, that's great. However, after 20 hours of the game, I've had my fill of it, and I'm not gonna finish it. I just don't find this world interesting enough to explore it. However, if you think the next game is bad, then you are objectively wrong and a villain. Frostpunk is built on top of one incredible slogan: the city must survive. It is a city builder where you, yes, build a city while managing hope and discontent, while also fighting the cold. That's pretty good. I'm not gonna tell you much about the game, as I highly encourage you to try it for yourselves. But there is one specific moment I want to talk about. One moment in the first campaign that is just incredible. And it's a moment where you can't do anything. You have no control, and it fucking works. The game is set in an alternate universe 19th century. A volcanic winter is covering the world, so you, with a massive furnace, need to keep the people warm and orderly. You do this by building things, obviously, and keeping a steady supply of coal and food flowing to this furnace into your citizens' mouths. Simple. Except the temperature keeps dropping, so you need to send an increasingly higher amount of coal into the furnace, while you slowly decide which comforts of the old world are you willing to let go of. I had bought Frostpunk's Game of the Year edition, which came with 3 more campaigns to play. I haven't really tried them all that much, but from what I checked out, they're all pretty good. But I did play the main campaign, which has the moment I want to talk about. The endgame of the main campaign is about preparing for a massive storm which will drop temperatures to a negative 150 Celsius. For context, in our world, the lowest recorded temperature is negative 89 Celsius. Although frankly, all that I really need to die is 0 degrees Celsius, so it's fine. It's a really intense moment, accompanied by the intense and harrowing music that plays as you prepare for the inevitable. You gather food, you gather coal, you make all the necessary upgrades for the furnace. I know it has a different name, I just can't remember it. You turn away the people who desperately need help as they flee from the storm, and once it finally hits, you're left with nothing to do. Don't get me wrong, like all the menus and options to build stuff are still there. It is very much a gameplay moment. But it does not matter what you do. If you build another clinic, it won't make a difference. You're left with nothing to do besides wondering if you could have done more. Could you have gotten further in the tech tree? Maybe you should have prioritized that steel mine rather than the coal mine early on. You certainly would have had easier access to higher quality buildings. You have no control over what happens. This entire moment is literally how to make a bad game 101, but it just fucking works so well. And why I think that is because you are emotionally connected to what happens to the city. You've just spent several hours taking care of a massive settlement full of people, guiding the city through its many issues, and making new laws for the people. And then you're suddenly told everyone in it might just die. Your hard work may be wiped out by the unrelenting and cruel march of nature. So, naturally, You do your fucking best to keep them safe. And when that storm hits, that's your test. That's when you begin understanding how effective were your preparations. In those several minutes where the storm is hitting you for days on end with that music track, it's incredible. The scripted events throughout it just add to the helplessness of the situation. An entire family who starved to death in their homes because their doors were frozen over and no one heard them calling for help. Or worse yet, the furnace keeping you warm, your lifeline, due to the stress of the storm, is about to blow, and you can either spend an extremely rare and useful resource to fix it, or send a child to their death with instructions on how to fix the furnace. It's one of the best moments I had last year. 5 out of 10, too much snow. Oh yeah, in the Guardians of the Galaxy, I also played that. It was pretty fun, even though I couldn't sleep with Drax, so 0 out of 10. Anyway, bye, and yeah, with that, the list is at an end. I hope you enjoyed the video and disagreed with everything I said. So, goodbye for now. More history content is coming soon. We're either gonna talk about the fall of Constantinople or the Brazilian War of Independence. We'll see. You still here? Why? Oh, right. The historical thing that's been bugging all of you that I mentioned in the beginning. Yeah, that historical thing. It was just a gay joke. So now get out of here, or else I call you gay.